welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast. My name is Jason Kmet, and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Jason. How's it going?
It's good. We're flipping up the schedule here a little bit, recording a little bit earlier than we usually do on Sunday.
Yeah, usually we record these recap episodes Sunday evening. We're doing it a little bit earlier this weekend because I have some plans to get to. But no, there's a lot of soccer taking place this weekend. I'm excited to dive into it.
This is our episode that we release on Monday, where we talk about what happened for Calgary-based teams over the weekend. So we're going to talk about Cavalry FC and their match against Valour. And we're going to talk a bunch of post-secondary soccer, Dinos and Cougars and Trojans. The Wild match was on Wednesday, and their next one isn't until the weekend. So no Wild content really for this episode.
No Wild game to recap, but as we talked about in our last Thursday night recording, Friday release episode, lots of interesting post-secondary games happening in town and outside of town as well this weekend. And then we were both at Cavalry's home game against Valour on Saturday. So still lots to talk about despite the lack of a game for the Calgary Wild.
Okay, let's get started with that Cavalry FC match.
Hey guys, it's Callum Montgomery, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So a pretty comfortable 3-0 win for Cavalry over Valour on Saturday. Cavalry scored very early into the match and never really let control slip, while Valour did have a few positive moments, including a goal that was called back for offside. It felt like a result that was never really in doubt, and Cavalry scored two nice goals in the second half to kind of put the exclamation point on this one to keep their positive momentum going.
Valour, probably their best scoring chance of the whole game, with the exception of that offside goal, but just other chances. They had a chance, 45 seconds in, and Marco Carducci had to make a really good save in order to keep the score at 0-0. And then, a minute later, I think Eric Cobbs scored?
Yeah, exactly. Very first minute of the match, Valour breakaway was snuffed out very well by Marco Carducci, who recorded his 7th clean sheet of the season in this one. I thought he had a great game. He also had to make a key save later on in the match as well. Eric Cobbs, his second goal in 2 games, unmarked at the back post on a corner kick, got the header, thought he'd go for the Volkswagen again, but went to celebrate with the fans instead this time.
So the Cavs went into halftime. It was 1-0, and it did feel pretty comfortable for them. And then not long after, in the second half, maybe a bit more than 5 minutes or so in, Goteh Ntiginee made it 2-0.
Yeah, just a simple pass inside from Sergio Camargo, and then with a well-placed shot with his left foot, Ntiginee managed to find the bottom right corner. Good goal from him. I think it had been a while since his last goal, so it was great to see him get on the score sheet. And then later on in the match, probably the best goal of the bunch, substitute Caniggia Elva. I think there was around 5 or 6 minutes left in regular time. He latched onto a long ball forward from Marco Carducci, brought it down, slipped his defender, and then with the outside of his foot, slotted it home bottom left to put Cavs up 3-0. Really nice finish from Elva, who, despite not getting the opportunity to start, showed his coach what he's capable of.
Definitely. With this victory, and with Halifax also winning on Saturday, the end net result is Cavalry have clinched a playoff spot this year, and for that matter, so is Halifax.
Yeah, this was the first question we posed to Tommy Wheeldon Jr. in the press conference. How does it feel to clinch your spot in the playoffs with 4 games left to go? He basically said it feels good. We always, set this as the minimum standard for the season, and we want to clinch a playoff position as early as possible so that we can start working towards it, knowing that we're going to be there. So it's been a pretty decent season from Cavalry, despite a few slumps that we've talked about a lot this season. But right now they're in red hot form, and with 4 games left to go, I mean, they're probably going to hope to play 6 games in total. It's just a matter of maintaining this momentum that they've built for themselves, and if they keep that up, they honestly can challenge for the North Star Cup.
I think so. I think right now they're in the driver's seat for 3rd place, and 3rd place puts you at a advantageous position in that first round sort of the playoffs. I kind of look at Cavalry this year, and it's like they've played well, but Ottawa and Forge have just played really, really great. But That being said, I think these are both those teams, Cavalry can beat them. As we already saw, Cavalry beat Forge at Spruce Meadows, and they've played Ottawa pretty tough. And the last time they were in Ottawa, they had that draw where they actually played really quite well and probably were unfortunate to not get the 3 points.
Yeah, and their next game is against Ottawa. We'll preview it more in our next episode, but pretty exciting. This is, of course, the time of the season that I think everybody tries to pick up the pace a little bit and shift into a higher gear. So Cavalry, what is their unbeaten run at the moment? Is it just 2 games because they did have a loss recently? But regardless, I feel like in the last 5 games, they've been as good as they have been this season. They've really kind of peaked at the right time.
They all get out there for sure. And there's a lot of players playing well. I think we don't need to run through the entire roster, but, Ali Musi playing great, and Ntiginee, he's surpassed all my expectations for him. I kind of thought that he would eventually turn into the player he kind of was before he left, but he really just stepped in and like he never left. And then Sergio Camargo too, we always sort of say that he gets injured and that sort of thing, but that's all hasn't happened this year. I think he's played every game.
Something like that. And yeah, another assist for him, even though it was just a simple 5-yard pass to Ntiginee, but he's pulling the strings as the playmaker. And I also would like to single out Eric Kobza and Michael Baldissimo as the partnership in defensive midfield. I think they've started the last couple of games, and I really like that partnership. It's not one I thought we would see this season, but it seems like they have a pretty good thing going.
Yeah, well, I've been really impressed with Eric Kobza. I think in the 2024 season, he had a little bit of a letdown from his rookie year. I know part of it was related to injury, but this year he started the year on the injured list, but he was really stepped up in these last, 10 games maybe, and he's looked really good out there, and he's been a regular starter pretty much this whole time.
Yeah, and another goal, so that's great to see. Obviously, it was a 3-0 win, which is pretty one-sided, but it just felt comfortable the whole game. On Saturday, it just felt like maybe Valour would score, but Marco played well and the defenders did well, and they managed to shut up shop.
Hi, this is Natalie Gervitz, and you're listening to YYC Soccer Podcast.
All right, Scott, let's talk about some post-secondary action. No games for Calgary's USports teams on Friday night, but on Saturday we had 4 matches, a couple in the men's division and a couple in the women's division.
Yeah, we, in our last episode, highlighted Mount Royal University hosting the UBC Thunderbirds. That game ultimately ended in a 2-0 win for the T-Birds. That ends Mount Royal's unbeaten start to the season. And then over at McMahon Stadium, the Dinos were taking on UNBC. Pretty high-scoring one, a 4-2 win for the Dinos with Owen Antoniuk and Kimia Cassandra both scoring braces for the home side.
Owen Antoniuk is just filling the net. Every chance he gets, he's scoring. And I need to check the Golden Boot race. I think he's pretty much in the lead nationally right now for most goals. Never mind even within Canada West.
I think he's at 9 at the moment, right?
Yeah.
And as we've mentioned in previous episodes, the single season scoring record for the UFC men's team is, I believe this is still standing from like a decade ago, but 15 goals from Dominic Russo in both the 2015 and 2016 season. So Antoniuk is more than halfway there. Plenty of games still to play.
On the women's side, the Dinos and Cougars were up in Edmonton, and the Dinos were playing the Pandas on Saturday, and they got the 2-1 win, but the Cougars came up a bit short.
Yeah, they lost 3-2 to Macewen with goals for MRU coming from Ava Tingstad and Tamara Jurisic. And for the Dinos in that 2-1 win, former podcast guest Ashlyn Phillips scored, and then Mykena Walker scored the winner. And I don't know if you saw her celebration, Jason, but she was channeling Goteh Ntiginee or Caniggia Elva with this celebration.
She did a flip? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, she did a backflip. So pretty cool to see. A commentator got a kick out of that, I noticed. But it was a really nice goal as well. She really turned on the jets to get around her defender, and then a very tidy finish in the bottom corner.
And in Sunday action, the Dinos were playing Macewen, and based on the scoreline, this one sounds like it would have been a fun one to watch. It ended up a 3-3 draw.
Yeah, that's quite the game. Obviously, these are two teams that know each other really well. Diogo Raposo, head coach for the Dinos, spent a lot of time with Macewen before moving to Calgary. Yeah, who scored in this one? It was D. Giacomo and then Kaylee Majors.
Kaylee Majors scored 2, and Sophia Di Giacomo scored. And looks like this game was fast and furious right to the end pretty much. And Macewen tied it up in the 86th minute.
And this would, I think, end the Dinos' perfect start to the season, right? They were coming into this 7-0 and now would be 7-0-1.
That is correct. Their unblemished season is over. Macewen, I think, as we had indicated earlier, they're nationally ranked 12th. So probably one of the tougher opponents they're going to face in the Prairie Division this year. And also in Edmonton, Mount Royal Cougars played Alberta Pandas, and the Cougars were victorious. They won 2-0. The goals were by Tamara Jurisic and Caitlin Vieira. In men's USports action on Sunday, the Dinos were facing the University of Victoria at McMahon Stadium. The Dinos were victorious. They won 2-1 with a brace from F.A. Udolu Joshua. So this victory might be enough to vault the Dinos into the top 10, as it now puts them actually in first place in the Prairie Division. They leapfrogged over Mount Royal as the Cougars ended up dropping some points. They had a draw against the University of Northern British Columbia. For the Cougars, Skylar Rogers, Jonathan Walter, and Chinan Chanda scored.
All right, so let's conclude our weekend recap by discussing the SAIT Trojans results from this weekend. They were playing on Friday down in Lethbridge, taking on the Lethbridge Kodiaks. On the men's side, this was a 4-1 win for SAIT. Esrom Johannes scored a brace. Robert Woodruff Brown, and then Hani Hiyabu scored the goals. And then on the women's side, former podcast guest Megan Weeb scored the only goal of the game to win 1-0 for SAIT.
So that means that the Trojans on both the men's and women's side still have perfect records. They're both in first place in the South Division. And although the Trojan men are tied with Medicine Hat College, they don't have the first place outright.
And players from SAIT are doing well in the scoring race as well. On the men's side, Robert Woodruff Brown is on 7 goals at the moment, continuing his positive League One Alberta season for Foothills. And then on the women's side, that goal for Megan Weeb was her 7th of the campaign, although she is 5 goals back of the person who is in first place.
Yeah, in first place is Reese Hollingsworth. She is from Grand Prairie, and she is playing for Northwest Polytechnic. She is a first-year player. She has scored 12 goals, so she's 5 goals ahead of Megan Weeb so far. She does have a little bit of a Calgary connection. Last year, she played in League One for the high performance team, the team that now has essentially become the Calgary Wild youth team. So she's tearing it up in the ACAC right now.
Hey guys, this is Willie Akio, and you are tuned into the YYC Soccer Podcast.
Okay, last thing we will mention before we end this episode, former podcast guest Willie Akio used to play for Cavalry as well as Valour in the CPL. He's been playing in the NPL down in Australia. He's been scoring a lot of goals for his team, the FC Tigers.
Their regular season is over, and he scored 13 goals, which put him in fourth place for the Golden Boot race. Probably even more important than that, they had their grand final, as they usually call them in Australia, which is basically their championship game, and he performed rather well in that one.
Yeah, he scored twice very early into the match to put FC Tigers in prime position to win this one 3-0. So his 2 goals came in the 2nd and 7th minutes.
I found the goals on YouTube and I clipped them. And if in case anyone's wondering, he's still doing the trademark flip.
Backflips galore this weekend.
Everywhere, yes.
Backflips galore as Cavalry clinch playoffs.
Congrats to Willie Akio for winning the championship in Australia. And it would appear that he's recovered from injury and his goal-scoring touch is still there. Thank you for listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast. You can have this podcast downloaded to your device as soon as it becomes available by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other platforms. Check out our website at yycsoccer.com, where you can look through our episode archive and find other options to listen, including our YouTube channel. We also have links to buy Scott's book. It's all about the history of pro soccer in Calgary. It's called Here Come the Cavalry. You can leave a question or comment in the Contact Us section of our website. You can also interact with us on social media, such as Twitter or Instagram or Blue Sky, where our username is @YYC Soccer 403. Thanks for listening.